The pilgrims head out to the market for some shopping before heading in separate directions for training. Elsa uses the red herring of location to ask where she can find beer, and it points to a small boy named Ear. She tries again and again, and it points to the boy. She tries asking for alcohol, and it points to Perrin, or the donkey behind Perrin. Elsa shouts at the donkey,
Where's the alcohol?
and the donkey falls down, frightened to death. Perrin shifts nervously, and the bottles of wine in his backpack clink quietly, but Elsa doesn't hear them. Perrin goes around to a magical items shop, asks for a magical dagger, gets redirected to a magical weapon shop, then gets redirected to a non-magical weapon shop, where he joins up with Kator. Sharp and Shit is a small stall in the marketplace, with shears, spears, swords, and axes hanging at odd angles inside and on the outside of the stall. Children run around carrying scissors and daggers, and the burly Goliath shopkeeper tells them to be careful. Kator sells a bunch of weapons. The shopkeeper directs Perrin to another magical weapons shop across town and sends Kator across the market to another place to continue selling items.
Shields and Shit, owned by my half-brother just over there.
He points across the road. At the shield shop, the half-brother looks exactly the same, but Kator doesn't mention it because he doesn't want to be racist.
Do you know somewhere that I could find a magic quiver?
He asks,
You can try Bow and Arrow's archery range and shop, but I'm not sure if he has anything magical.
says the Goliath. Perrin and Kator head over to the other side of the city while Jack heads to school. Elsa and Bjorn head to the religion district, and Robin runs off searching for thief signs. Robin finds some symbols and arrows and follows them to what seems like a dead-end alley. She tries to run up the wall but falls down and gets poop in her hair, but her dress remains magically clean. From the ground, she can see another arrow on one of the roofs pointing to the other roof. She tries to climb a few more times, but then gives up and uses a grappling hook. Once on the roof, Robin sees a metal fence that she thinks is electrified, protecting a locked door. She climbs up and around, trying not to touch the fence. Her leg brushes against it, but she doesn't get electrocuted, so she gets to work unlocking the door and heading inside. A bunch of burly men, drinking and playing with throwing knives, suddenly fall silent.
What are you doing here, little baby?
Says one of the men.
I want training to become the greatest thief in the world. I picked the lock to get in.
Says Robin.
Get her out of here.
Says another man, and then Robin starts crying. A crossbow bolt stabs through Robin's pirate hat and pins it against the wall. Robin stops crying, suddenly realizing how easily she could be murdered here.
Did you really pick my lock?
Says an old bearded man with the crossbow.
Yeah, do you want to see me do it again?
I can train you to be a great thief, but you need to follow our simple rules here. Don't steal from the throne and don't steal from other member thieves.
Says the bearded man.
So, the man asking me to steal the old king's fingers and rings? I shouldn't do that.
Asks Robin.
I'll deal with rigor. You go home now and come back first thing tomorrow morning.
Meanwhile, in the religion district, Elsa finds some monks and asks for training. She offers a cask, but they don't want it. Instead, they try her mug of endless beer, and after a bit of confusion, they pass it around, each one emptying the mug before handing it away.
I'll need the mug back when I'm done training.
Says Elsa. Back across town, Perrin and Kator take a side tour to a tailor to sell more loot. The store, named Lavish Livery, operated by a snobby Clint Torres. After exchanging a well-tailored fox fur vest for a custom-tailored set of clothes of the tailor's choice of style, Kator puts his bag of holding on the floor and pulls out several more fur clothing pieces and sells those for gold, then asks,
What's your opinion on reptile skin clothing and accessories?
They can certainly be fashionable if tailored by an expert such as myself.
says Clint.
Well, perhaps you'd be interested in purchasing some supplies for your craft?
Kator says with a big smile on his face as he reaches into the bag of holding with both hands and hauls out a 6-foot crocodile skin, lifting it above his head before gently putting it down on the counter.
My, that is quite good quality. I'll pay 200 gold for it,
Exclaims Clint.
Excellent. I have 3 of them.
Kator says gleefully as he pulls out the other crocodile skins from his bag of holding.
Okay, here's your gold. Now strip. I have to take measurements.
Says Clint. Kator strips naked and Clint takes a lot of measurements Kator had never heard of. like the curvature of his buttocks and how far his ball sack hangs on his thigh. Perrin also requests some new fancy robes, and the two head to a bathhouse while they wait.
You've never been to a bathhouse with the pilgrims before yet. Oh, I guess that whole thing with Gus doing naked yoga in the change room was before we met you. Jack was so traumatized.
Says Kator.
Who's Gus?
Asks Perrin.
You know how Nyx is super short and old, and when not under the effects of magic is always covered in dirt and twigs? Well, imagine another gnome only 10 times older and more wrinkly, and about 1,000 times grimier and dirtier, making me look like a perfumed mannequin in comparison. And about 10,000 times as naked. That's Gus.
Says Kator as the two disrobe and get into the bath.
So you've never seen Elsa in the bath before either? Wow, you are missing out. That is one heck of a sight.
Continues Kator.
I never...
Perrin starts.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you like men? Bjorn is pretty impressive to look at as well. Women are always fawning over him, but he never takes them up on their offers. Maybe he's waiting for a nice half-orc or full-orc woman. I'm not sure why he didn't pounce at the chance to bed Agnes.
Says Kator.
I've never had sex.
Perrin shouts exasperatedly. Luckily, the sound of splashing gives the pair a bit of privacy, and the other patrons are far away.
You're a virgin?
Kator shouts even louder.
Sorry, you're a virgin?
He whispers.
Do moon elves have arranged marriages? Or date without sex and then wait for marriage? Wood elves fuck on the regular. My past may be shattered into two separate timelines, but in both, I've definitely had sex with plenty of wood elves. Not that there's anything wrong with waiting for marriage. It's just, I don't see what purpose that serves.
Says Kator.
I'm waiting to meet the right woman. Not all moon elves wait, but I do.
Says Perrin. Then an old human man splashes up to them, walking with his genitals supported by the surface of the water.
You two ought to be ashamed of yourselves, talking about such things in a public bath. There are women and children here, you know.
The old man shuffles away, and the pair continue talking in hushed tones when they hear an elderly gnome voice from across the bath.
Would you like to see my bunions?
Asks Gus.
Sure do, Uncle Gus.
Says Nyx.
Come to think of it, I've never seen Nyx naked. I'm a bit curious what he looks like. I've never met another agender, and carrying around the stone penis just makes me even more curious.
Mutters Kator.
Ahem.
Nyx clears his throat, standing on the edge of the bath behind Kator and Perrin. They turn to look and see Nyx in a wet shirt, with a huge horsecock proudly displayed out in the open.
Nyx, are you using that transform into animals magic thing again?
Nyx giggles and turns around, but the horsecock stays suspended in midair, just an illusion. Kator cranes his neck sideways to look under the illusion and try to see between Nyx's legs, but all he sees are wet butt cheeks walking away, partially covered by the wet shirt.
Well, I guess the mystery remains.
Kator shrugs. After the bath, the duo head back to lavish livery, and Clint dresses them in their new clothes. Kator is a bit uncomfortable in the tight leather pants, especially when Clint lifts his genitals into them and they stay fully supported and up higher than they would naturally hang.
Are you sure this is normal?
Of course. You want to look good. And what else are the ladies going to stare at?
Says Clint, fed up with Clint's attitude, and sitting nude in the waiting area, Perrin casts prestidigitation all over the front room, making everything look and smell like poop for an hour. Once both patrons have their new clothing, Perrin pays for his robes and attempts to leave, but the door is locked.
You can leave when you turn my shop back to normal,
says Clint. Perrin continues to deny any knowledge of it, but he is not very convincing. They sit and wait until the spells finish their duration, then go to a magical jewelry store in search of some rings. Ellie Gent introduces herself and says that she doesn't have a water-walking ring for sale, but she does have one for her personal use, and is willing to part with it if they go south into the infected Red Forest and rescue her sister from the temple there. Kator brings out his map and points to the area that the lieutenant from Fulidu had marked as a temple they had burned around and were defending with troops. Ellie confirms that it is the correct temple, then questions the holes in the map. Without thinking, Kator blurts out that an Ent had marked those as entrances to the Underdark. Ellie gets a bit frightened, but relaxes once Kator assures her that she is safe within the city walls.
Yes, the guards do tell us to stay inside the city for our own safety. I guess they're serious about that. If you find my sister and bring her here, I'll give you the water walking ring you want.
The next few days are spent training, with the early students celebrating with a party while waiting for the others to finish. On the second day, they hear and feel a familiar rumble and look outside to see another giant elk, carefully stepping in between houses and walking through town. By the end of the third day, everyone is well rested and ready to set off on the next leg of their journey.